This was not a fight I ever thought that I would leave. It had scarred me to my soul, left me far too much to grieve. I'd been born into the tragedy the love addiction chose to steal. Substances that numbed the trauma and stole people's ability to feel. All my growing up lost in the intoxication that left me parentless, the child that no one claimed, and so she was inheritless. 19 years inside my family until my mother finally died. I never saw my father. I only knew that he had lied. He said he'd love his family, but he never stuck around. He may as well have left us all somewhere in the lost and found. By 16, I was addicted. I found relief where my family found it. My nerves were stretched as tight as a drum, if only I could pound it. But I fell into the trap just like everyone before me. I blinded my heart and mind until everyone ignored me. I became one of the invisible, the problem no one really sees. And the only way I found my way out is when I fell onto my knees. And somewhere in the journey back, I saw the place where I should be, helping other people so that someday they could be free. And I knew the journey back because I had made it for myself. I knew the benefits of recovery because I had found its wealth. And I had found understanding, and I had found forgiveness too. I knew helping others recover was the most important thing to do. Addiction was the thief that had stolen my family's peace. Somehow I needed to be part of what made the suffering cease. I dedicated my life to what I thought was the most important goal. I stood up for all the people because I knew what addiction stole. It'd never been an easy fight because so many just don't care. How many places did I fight because they treated people so unfair? Places that wouldn't take my clients in or those that kicked them out. Hospitals that wouldn't treat them and a diagnosis full of doubt. But it never stopped me from fighting on because I knew that this was right. Those that struggle with addiction deserve to win their fight. But then there was a trend to keep the addicted exactly where they were. It snuck up when we weren't looking, and so it didn't really cause a stir. And it didn't look like it was a problem. It actually looked like it was good. But it might as well have been a thief hiding under a darkened hood. They called it harm reduction, and initially that is what it did. But it ushered in another idea, and that is what it hid. Why not just give the addicted their drugs and never mind recovery? It's not something they ever spelled out clearly, so it wasn't a discovery. Bit by bit, I watched things change until I saw the pattern emerge, that drug use was being supported and abstinence became the scourge, until I was viewed as unreasonable for wanting to help people stop using drugs, until the drug dealers had become the helpers and the counselors had become the thugs, until I finally lost my job for having the nerve to voice my dismay, until I realized my efforts were over and I had to walk away. All the fights I fought and all the years I stood up for those like me, but in the end they'd push me out because this was something I could never be. I could never be part of the problem leaving people chained to their addiction. I could never become a yes man and deny the seriousness of this affliction. I could never be okay, or I could never okay the horror of what had destroyed the family I never got to have. I could never let the government make addicted people just another sacrificial calf. Because after all, it's all about money and what they gain from allowing addiction. It's cheaper not to treat it, and there's money made from avoiding its restriction. One day, we'll all look back and say, how could they have ever done this to addicted people? It will be another story of historical shame where the government's efforts were less than feeble. Thanks.